Hello and welcome back to another tutorial on jsPsych. Today we are going to learn more about the onStart function or the onStart object in the trial. So if you remember, in every of the trial there is a data, there's a type, choices, and it depends on the type of plugin. So we have post-trial gap, but in general, jsPsych has on finish. So what happens when the trial is finished? And on start, what happens at the start of the trial? So for example, we're going to use the feedback trial as an example to show you what you can do with the onStart function. So on start, so we can do many things. So we can set a function. Let's set a function to do something. So on start, a function for the trial. Instead of data, we are going to use trial. So on start of the trial, so on start of this trial, we can do the same thing, like you can set the data. So trial.data. Instead of putting colon, we have to put equal. And then the same, screen, ID, feedback. So once you do that, we're going to take this away. You can remove it or you can set it as an empty response to keep everything consistent. You can do that. So let's put it at the end. So on start of feedback, we want to retrieve the feedback from the previous trial. We actually did that in our stimulus, but let's move it above. So we are going to retrieve the last trial accuracy, and then we're going to move everything up. So instead of return, we're going to give a variable for feedback. So we're going to create a new variable for feedback. New variable feedback. If it's correct, we're going to give accuracy, so it's correct. And if it's wrong, let's put it here, semicolon. And if it's not correct, incorrect, semicolon. So let's delete one of that. We're going to use it for the next. We're going to use one of it for our stimulus. Okay, so right now we don't have any stimulus in our trial. So we're going to put it inside the site itself, the start trial, on start. So trial, let's just put it inside feedback. So the thing is, you see that this is not parentheses. There's no parentheses around it. If you put feedback, it's going to show feedback itself, the text, but not the text inside this feedback object. Because we want whether it's correct, incorrect, we have to separate this by separate them by the addition. So it knows that this is actually a feedback object, but not the feedback text. So this whole thing's a text. So this is going to show as a text. And then it's going to take the text from here and put it inside and append to the next part. So this is essentially this. Correct. If it's correct, it's going to show correct. If it's incorrect, it's going to be incorrect. So with this, we minimize the number of code that we have to write. So this is the stimulus. So this is the feedback for the stimulus, for the trial stimulus. So that's var. If block, we're going to close it. So semicolon. And then, so let's add the stimulus. So this is the stimulus that's going to show on the CSV file. We do want the whole thing because remember for the past few tutorials in the stimulus column, this thing shows this whole thing. But we just want whether it's correct or incorrect. So we just need to show the feedback. And then we can populate trial.stimulus equals feedback underscore trials underscore stim. So instead of putting it inside here, we will put it in on start. So essentially, this thing is taking the data from on start. So to test this, let's reverse the experimental block to 1. We want a feedback, so let's change it to 5. And let me check. So everything is here. So let's exclude the experimental block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, correct. So it's still showing what we wanted to show, but now it's cleaner. The code is now cleaner and it's easier to read. So I'm going to save it. So let's open the file and check the input. So right now we have correct, correct, incorrect. It's cleaner now. So we could also do the same for the other stimulus or other trials. For example, if you want to do that for the trial block, we can do the same. Okay, so for the trial block, it's easier because we don't have to change anything. We just need to add the extra column in the data. So stimulus, it's gonna be blue. So for this, stimulus will be orange. It's simpler because the data that's gonna populate will get the stimulus picture. So let me close this. Okay, so you notice that I left the screen. I wasn't concentrating on the experiment. But it's not capturing that in our spreadsheet here. So it doesn't know whether the participant is on the experimental screen or not. So in the next tutorial, we will look at that. But for now, let's come back to the stimulus. So to the on start. So the stimulus has now been changed to blue, orange, orange, blue, and it's cleaner now. So only thing is we have to change this, but we don't have to for now because it's a whole lot of things. Because you're gonna be a lot of commas, a lot of colons, everything. We can leave it like that. Right now, it doesn't give us any information, except we know that how much time the participant take for each screen or each part of the instructions. So that's it for today's tutorial. So we have further tidied up the CSV file, and we have learned how to use the onStart to create dynamic stimuli or dynamic variable that gets user input from the previous trial and put it into this trial. And we also learn how to use that to tidy up the code. So it's now neater and it's easier to read. So one thing to note when you're writing a code, if things can be simplified into one line of code, anything that's repeated can be simplified into a function, can be simplified into a if trial or if statement, something like that. So you have one less line of code or two lines fewer, which makes the code neater. So for example, you don't have to write this twice for here and for here. You just need to write it once and get the data from here. And that's it. So that's the end for today's tutorial. And please tune into the next few episodes of jsPsych, where we learn how to do more advanced stuff with jsPsych.